Hello, my friends. Do you remember the 2024 presidential election cycle when the Democrats thought that they could win Iowa? Do you remember that? Do you remember the Des Moines Register / Mediacom poll from Iowa that showed that Kamala Harris was ahead? Some of you may remember that. According to that poll, that one poll, Kamala Harris was at 47% and Donald Trump was at 44%. It was ridiculous, if you ask me. I mean, I had said it right away that there's no way that this poll is correct. Iowa is Trump territory. And I think a lot of people, when they saw that poll result, they were shocked. Completely shocked. And yes, now we know for sure that the poll was not correct, because the final result of the presidential election in Iowa was the following. Donald Trump received 56% of the votes and Kamala Harris got 42.7% of the votes. So it was such a massive difference between the two. Donald Trump received more than 927,000 votes in Iowa in 2024, and Kamala Harris received just over 707,000 votes. So clearly, Iowa is a red state. It is a red state. 2 Republican U.S. senators, 1 Republican governor, and many Republican elected officials throughout the state. And so Senator Chuck Grassley, he has represented Iowa in the U.S. Senate for decades. He is the senior U.S. senator from Iowa, a very strong Republican. And the junior senator from Iowa is Joni Ernst. She is also a Republican. And the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, also a Republican. And the Democrats, for whatever reason, they thought that they could win Iowa in 2024, November. They thought that Kamala Harris could win Iowa somehow. I don't know what they were thinking. And going back to that poll, the Des Moines Register / Mediacom poll that showed that Kamala Harris was ahead, completely wrong. So, my friends, now that we look forward to 2026, the midterm election, it seems like the Democrats are dreaming again regarding the same state. This time, the Democrats are looking to capture a U.S. Senate seat in Iowa. They're dreaming again. Iowa is a red state, but the Democrats are not giving up hope. They want to capture a U.S. Senate seat in Iowa. Okay. Now, you may have heard already that U.S. Senator Joni Ernst may not run for re-election. Now, this is according to sources. It is being reported in the news. I have not seen any official announcement from Senator Joni Ernst, okay? So, unless she makes it official with an official announcement, it is not official. It is something that is being reported and widely reported, but I have not seen any official announcement from Senator Ernst. So, if this is true, it is going to be quite a shock, okay? Senator Ernst, Joni Ernst, she was first elected in 2014. So that means that she is now in her second term in office. And if she completes the current term, and if she decides not to run for re-election, then it'll be a total of 2 terms in the Senate for her. Now, if this vacancy does happen, okay, if Joni Ernst truly makes it official that she's not going to run for re-election, this vacancy is probably going to be a reason for worry among the Republicans. Yeah, I know Iowa is a red state, but let me explain to you what is going on. There is a general understanding that an incumbent always has some advantages. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, if you are an incumbent, as an incumbent, you have certain advantages. Number one, you've already won an election, so there's that check mark, okay? And if you've won elections multiple times, maybe you're serving your third or fourth term in office, that means you've won a few times. So that gives an office holder great advantage. The incumbent knows what works and what doesn't, for the most part. The incumbent has run a successful campaign, right? The incumbent usually has name recognition, and the longer you are in office, the greater the name recognition. So if this is your first term in office, you have some name recognition because you've won an election. If this is your second term in office, third term in office, then you have wider name recognition. So the incumbent also has a network of advisors and staff and volunteers. And whenever an incumbent decides not to seek re-election, that can cause some headache for the party. Because now the party has to bring in someone new and recreate the wheel in a way. Okay, so if Joni Ernst decides to not seek re-election, that means the Republican Party has to now find someone else to run for the seat. Okay, now that could be some other seasoned politician who has also run campaigns and won, maybe for some other office, or maybe it's going to be someone who is completely an outsider, maybe somebody who has never run for political office before, okay? I mean, there are advantages and disadvantages for both. Sometimes there are certain advantages to being an outsider, because then you can say that you're not part of the political machine, that you are from some other profession, some other background, and you're deciding to run for office. Sometimes people like that. They want a fresh face. And then at other times, it's advantageous for the party to have a seasoned politician. So anyway, let's see what happens. But, I'm seeing, according to reports, that Congresswoman Ashley Hinson may run for this seat if Joni Ernst really makes it official that she's not going to run for re-election. There's a big if, okay? I mean, I see the news reports, but unless I see an actual announcement from Joni Ernst, nothing's confirmed, okay? So at this point, it's all being reported in the news. No official announcement yet, as of the timing of the recording of this podcast episode. So keep that in mind. Let's see what happens. But I can already sense that the Democrats are going to be aggressively campaigning to win the Senate seat. Okay? So whether Joni Ernst runs for re-election or not, the Democrats are going to aggressively pursue victory in the Senate race that's coming up in 2026. Okay, and I did say that Iowa is a red state. It's a Republican-heavy state. But also you can go back and look at the history of Iowa. In 2008, Democrat Barack Obama won Iowa. And then again, in 2012, Barack Obama won Iowa. So that gives the Democrats some hope about flipping the state in their favor in the 2026 midterm. But also keep in mind that it was a very different era. 2008 was a very different era. 2012 Okay, it was a very different political landscape. Um, just you know, things were very different. Okay, I know it was 2012. It may seem like it was not that long time ago, but given the pace at which we're moving forward, given the changes taking place in the political landscape, and given all the changes that are occurring, 2012 was a long time ago. Okay. Anyway, things have changed since then. The state has become bright red completely. But there's something else. There's something else that is giving hope to the Democrats, and it is something that cannot be entirely disregarded. And I think it is important for the Republicans in Iowa to be alert, to pay attention, because one can never take things for granted. And we know that in politics, things change. As I've just said, 2008 was a long time ago. Things have changed. 2012 was a long time ago, because things have changed a lot since then, especially in the political world. And change doesn't stop. Change keeps happening. So some changes may be in your favor, some changes may be against you. And so things in Iowa have changed in favor of the Republicans in recent years. But then change is taking place, and the pendulum can swing from one side to the other. So a Republican stronghold may change and may switch in favor of the Democrats. And a Democrat stronghold can switch in favor of the Republicans. So anything can happen. It is important to pay attention to the trends and to identify new patterns that may be emerging. So here's something very important that I need to bring to your attention. Some of you may know this already, but it needs to be highlighted. It is something that cannot be disregarded. It is something that must be analyzed. Okay? So I'm going to share with you what happened in Iowa just recently. There was a special election in Iowa. Just recently, it was a special election for an open seat in the Iowa State Senate. A Republican state senator, his name was Rocky DeWitt, passed away, and so there was a vacancy, and there was a special election to fill that seat, and the Democrat candidate won that special election in Iowa. According to the latest reports, Democrat candidate Caitlin Dray received 55% of the votes in that race, and she defeated the Republican candidate. It's not easy to get 55% of the votes, okay? Yes, I understand that it was a special election, not a regular one. This election took place in August, okay? So that's not the regular schedule. But what that means is that the Democrats are so energized and organized that they can take advantage of every opportunity that they can find. This seat was held by a Republican in a red state. And so one has to wonder, how in the world did a Democrat win this seat? And reportedly, this is the second time this year that Democrats have taken control of a Republican-held seat in the Iowa State Senate. Earlier this year, there was a special election that the Democrat candidate won, and that was also a switch from a Republican-held state Senate seat to now a Democrat being in that seat. So these are two major losses that the Iowa Republicans have suffered this year. And what's shocking is that both these seats are in Trump districts that overwhelmingly support Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump won both of these districts by huge margins, and now both these state Senate districts went to the Democrats in these special elections, 2 special elections this year in Iowa. So this cannot be disregarded. I would like to alert the Republicans in Iowa that they must not take things for granted. And I know that the Democrats are very skilled in winning elections that fall outside of the regular November election month. Here in Wisconsin, we have seen how Democrats kept winning spring elections for the last several years. And the local government races in Wisconsin are held in spring, and state Supreme Court races are held in spring. And so in all these years here in Wisconsin, we have lost quite a bit in spring races. Of course, we can point to some victories also, but the losses have been huge in the spring elections because the Democrats are organized all year round. We, the Republicans, focus on presidential elections and maybe midterm elections, but the Democrats are active all year round. They got their volunteers mobilized throughout the year, and they can take advantage of these special elections and the spring elections like the ones we've seen in Wisconsin. So in Iowa, to the Iowa Republicans, I would like to say that you must get back to the table and reorganize. Iowa Republicans, reorganize, form strategies, analyze the losses, and find out why we, the Republicans, lost these 2 special elections in Iowa. It's important. How can the Iowa Republicans lose 2 important seats in the same year? Those losses are not just losses for Iowa. Those losses are losses for all Republicans and all freedom-loving people. There is something in the GOP political organization in Iowa that is falling behind. Okay, I mean, there's something, especially after these 2 losses, something that is not, something that needs to be corrected, something that needs to be improved. It has been reported that fewer than a quarter of registered voters turned out to vote in this special election in Iowa. That means that the Democrats were able to get their voters out to vote, but the Republicans, we the Republicans, and I'm going to say we, I'm not in Iowa, I'm in Wisconsin, but I'm going to say we, because if you are a Republican, wherever you are a Republican. So we the Republicans, we somehow fell behind in Iowa in the get out the vote efforts. And that's problematic. This is something that the GOP has to work on. And now, given the reports that Joni Ernst may not seek re-election, there are concerns about this very important Senate seat, U.S. Senate seat. Now, I'm still very confident that we, the Republicans, will win the Senate race in Iowa, the U.S. Senate race in Iowa in 2026, as long as we have a solid candidate. If Joni Ernst decides to retire, there has to be a strong candidate, a solid candidate, running as a Republican. But these 2 state Senate losses are of great concern. And let me tell you, the GOP actually had a supermajority in the Iowa State Senate. But no longer, after this latest loss. The Republicans used to have 34 seats in the Iowa State Senate out of a total of 50 seats. 34 seats were GOP held. And now the GOP will have 33 seats and 17 seats for the Democrats. Now, You might think that the loss of one seat may not be a big deal, given that there are still 33 GOP state senators in Iowa. But keep in mind that it takes 34 votes in the Iowa State Senate to confirm appointments. So if Governor Kim Reynolds wants to appoint someone to a state agency or a commission, the confirmation process requires 34 votes in the state Senate. And the GOP had 34 votes, but no longer. Now the GOP has 33 votes, and that means now the Republicans will need at least one Democrat colleague to agree with them and vote with them to confirm an appointment. So that tells you how this one loss this month in the special election has eroded the GOP's power in the Iowa State Senate. So, my friends, I am trying to point out the facts. I'm always happy to share good news. I'm always happy to share news about success and accomplishments and all the great things that are happening, that the Trump administration is doing. I always like to share happy news, good news, things that are uplifting, things that give us hope, things that give us energy. But I also have to point out anytime I see that there's a reason to be concerned, I have to share the facts. I am very committed to promoting the truth. So I'm sharing with you the truth, and I'm telling you that there is need for greater organization and better strategy for the Republicans in Iowa. And wherever you are in America, if you are a Republican, you have to think about what's happening in Iowa. You have to think about that. You may be in Texas, you may be in Florida, you may be in Montana, you may be in Nebraska, you may be in Tennessee. But if you are a Republican, if you care about this country, if you want your freedom to be protected, your constitutional rights to be protected, you have to look at the larger picture. You have to look at what the Republicans are doing all over the country. And so what's happening in Iowa matters to all of us. You may not be an Iowa resident. Maybe you never went to Iowa, never visited Iowa, but what's happening in Iowa should matter to you. It matters to me. I'm in Wisconsin. What's happening in Iowa matters to me because I want the Republicans to have strong seats. I want the Republicans to have supermajorities so that we can continue to do all the great things that we want to do all over the country, in each and every state, and all over the country. If you want to protect freedom, if you want to protect your constitutional rights, we have to look at the entire country and what's happening in each and every corner. So I'm very concerned about the two losses in special elections in Iowa this year. And the Republicans just lost the supermajority, and now we're hearing about this retirement that may be happening. Nothing confirmed yet. Joni Ernst may not run for re-election. She's a very strong Republican. She's a very strong, political figure. If she does not run for re-election, the question is who's going to run for who's going to run as the Republican candidate for that seat. So I hope that the Iowa Republicans are going to take matters very seriously, and I hope that they win back the supermajority in the state Senate soon. And let's wait and see what Senator Ernst decides to do, what announcement she makes. And if she does decide to retire, I hope that we still get to hold on to the U.S. Senate seat in 2026. So my friends, those are the thoughts I wanted to share with you today. I want to hear from you, so please let me know what your thoughts are. If you are in Iowa, I want to hear from you. But wherever you may be from, whatever state, whatever city, please share with me your thoughts, my friends. So you can go to my website, tossifanam.net, and you can send me a message through my website. You can also check out my blog post. You can check out my list of published opinions. All the information is available on my website. You can email me directly. Email me. My email address is tossif@tossifanam.net. You can also find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I am on X, and I am also on Truth Social. So connect with me, share with me your thoughts, my friends. I appreciate you all continuing to listen to my podcast, and I hope to be back again soon with a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam.